The real person who should be apologizing is Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, not Charles or William. The British royal family finds itself once more under relentless public scrutiny, as the Jeffrey Epstein files continue to generate fresh headlines and heated debate. In recent days, the pressure on senior royals to speak out has intensified dramatically, with Prince William and Catherine, the Princess of Wales, issuing a rare joint statement. Kensington Palace confirmed that the Prince and Princess of Wales are deeply concerned by the ongoing revelations emerging from the unsealed Epstein court documents. Their carefully worded message emphasized sympathy for victims of abuse and made clear that their thoughts remain firmly with those who suffered exploitation. Yet many commentators and royal watchers argue that the statement misses the point, because the only individual who truly owes an apology is Prince Andrew himself. Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, the Duke of York, has remained largely silent since his infamous Newsnight interview in November 2019. That disastrous appearance intended to clear his name instead deepened public skepticism and damaged his reputation irreparably. The civil settlement he reached with Virginia Giuffre in 2022 paid millions without admission of liability, yet failed to silence the questions. Each new release of Epstein-related material reignites calls for accountability and places renewed focus on Andrew's documented friendship with the convicted sex offender. Critics now insist that Charles and William should not be the ones apologizing or expressing concern on behalf of the institution when Andrew is the central figure. The argument is straightforward: if wrongdoing occurred or boundaries were crossed, then the person directly involved must be the one to offer contrition publicly. Supporters of the King and the Prince of Wales point out their difficult position, caught between family loyalty and the need to protect the monarchy's integrity. Charles has already taken decisive steps stripping Andrew of titles, military affiliations, public duties, and his primary residence at Royal Lodge. The relocation to Sandringham with private funding and reduced visibility represents a form of containment aimed at limiting further reputational damage. William's reported private stance that Andrew should face a police probe if he were already king further illustrates the generational shift in attitudes. Yet despite these measures, the public narrative keeps returning to one question: why has Andrew himself not issued a full, clear, and unambiguous apology? Many believe such a statement could help draw a line under the controversy, allowing the wider family and the institution to move forward with less distraction. Instead, the silence from Andrew combined with measured words from Charles and William creates an impression that responsibility is being diffused rather than owned. The Epstein files, released in batches over several years, contain emails, flight logs, depositions, and witness accounts that mention Andrew repeatedly. Some documents detail communications about travel arrangements, business opportunities, and social interactions during the early 2000s. While nothing in the public material has produced definitive new criminal evidence, the sheer volume of references keeps the association alive in public consciousness. Virginia Giuffre's allegations, though settled civilly, continue to cast a long shadow over Andrew's public image and legacy. The Duke has consistently denied any wrongdoing, insisting that he has no recollection of meeting certain individuals or witnessing abuse. Yet the absence of a direct public apology for poor judgment, or for maintaining the friendship long after red flags appeared, troubles many observers. Royal commentators argue that an apology need not admit criminal liability, but could acknowledge that associating with Epstein was a grave error of judgment. Such a gesture might diffuse some of the anger directed at the wider family, and shift the conversation away from perceived institutional protection. Prince William and Kate's statement, while victim-focused, has been interpreted by some as an indirect rebuke to Andrew's continued silence. By emphasizing concern for victims, the couple positioned themselves on the side of justice and empathy rather than defense of their uncle. This subtle distancing reflects a broader strategy within the monarchy to prioritize public trust and moral clarity over unconditional family solidarity. King Charles, for his part, has faced his own share of heckling in recent public outings, with protesters demanding answers about what he knew and when he knew it. The monarch has maintained composure in those moments, continuing engagements and focusing on the positive work of the visit. Yet the repeated interruptions signal that public patience is wearing thin, and that symbolic gestures alone may no longer satisfy growing demands. The royal family now operates in an era of instant communication, where every statement or omission is dissected, analyzed, and amplified globally. Silence from Andrew is no longer seen as dignified restraint, but increasingly as avoidance of responsibility by a growing portion of the public. Beatrice and Eugenie, the Duke's daughters, have remained steadfastly loyal, visiting their father, offering emotional support, and avoiding public comment. Their position is understandable and deeply human. Yet it contrasts sharply with the more detached stance taken by William and Kate. Sarah Ferguson, Andrew's ex-wife, has also stayed close to him, living at Royal Lodge until recent changes forced her own departure. Her continued presence and support highlight the complexity of family ties that endure even when public roles and reputations are stripped away. The monarchy under Charles has pursued a program of modernization, slimming down costs, reducing residences, and emphasizing visible public service. Andrew's situation remains the most persistent obstacle to that vision, a reminder that past associations can cast long shadows over present efforts. William and Kate's statement may mark the beginning of a firmer line, where concern for victims and institutional health takes precedence. If Andrew were to break his silence with a sincere apology, it could potentially ease some of the pressure now building on his brother and nephew. An apology framed around regret for poor judgment and sympathy for those harmed by Epstein might shift the narrative significantly. It would allow the family to acknowledge the pain caused, without necessarily accepting legal liability that has already been settled. Until such a statement arrives, however, the focus will continue shifting toward Charles and William, who are forced to respond on behalf of the institution. The real person who should be apologizing is Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, because the controversy stems directly from his choices and associations. Charles and William can express concern, issue statements, and adjust arrangements, but they cannot substitute for the personal accountability many believe is overdue. The public debate will likely intensify with each new document release, and with every public appearance that draws hecklers or pointed questions. The royal family stands at a crossroads in how it handles this chapter. Balancing private loyalty with public expectation and moral clarity. William and Kate have taken a principled step by voicing deep concern, placing victims at the center and refusing to look away from uncomfortable truths. Whether Andrew follows their lead with his own statement remains uncertain. Yet many argue that only his voice can truly begin to close this painful chapter. The monarchy has weathered crises before through adaptation resilience, and occasional moments of honest reckoning with difficult realities. This moment may require precisely that kind of reckoning, led not by Charles or William but by the person at the heart of the controversy. Andrew Mountbatten Windsor holds the key to de-escalation. Through a simple yet powerful act of contrition and reflection. Until then, the pressure will continue to mount, and the question will linger: who should truly be apologizing? The answer, according to a growing chorus of voices, points clearly and consistently toward Andrew himself.